Ethan lived alone on the edge of a small, isolated town, surrounded by overgrown fields and an old, weathered farmhouse. His life was quiet, sometimes too quiet, until one day a dog appeared at his gate. She was a medium-sized, golden-furred stray that a neighbor had dropped off and never returned for. At first, Ethan didn't mind her presence. He enjoyed the company, even if it meant occasional muddy paw prints on the floor. But everything changed when the dog, whom he named Daisy, gave birth to 5 puppies. Ethan tried to find homes for them, posting ads and asking friends, but nobody seemed interested. Feeding them all became a financial strain, and the constant noise, mess, and the never-ending chase whenever a puppy slipped out the door began to weigh heavily on him. The stress grew unbearable, and one morning, after sleepless nights and mounting frustration, Ethan made a decision he never imagined he would. He would abandon Daisy and her puppies. He loaded them into the back of his old pickup truck, taking a dirt road that wound through the woods near the edge of town, a path he hadn't used in years. After a long drive, he reached a secluded clearing where he thought no one would ever find them. He tied Daisy to a sturdy tree, leaving the puppies nearby, and got back into his truck. The engine roared to life, and he drove away without looking back. A pang of guilt pricked him, but he pushed it aside, convincing himself he had no other choice. Back at his farmhouse, he collapsed onto his bed and slept for hours, hoping the problem had been solved. Meanwhile, Daisy sat, confused and terrified, her neck sore from the tight rope. Her puppies crawled around her, sniffing the leaves and twigs, searching for warmth and food. Daisy pulled against the rope, straining her muscles, but it was futile. She laid down, exhausted, her body tense with anxiety, trying to shield her little ones as best she could. Night fell, and the forest came alive with strange sounds, rustling leaves, distant howls, and the creak of branches under unseen weight. Daisy kept her eyes open, alert to every movement. Hours passed, and she began to lose hope, yet she refused to leave her pups. Suddenly, shapes emerged from the shadows. 4 wolves, their fur blending with the darkness, approached cautiously. Daisy froze, instinctively standing tall despite her exhaustion. The wolves stopped a few yards away. They didn't growl or move aggressively. They simply watched. One, larger than the others, with a faded scar along his muzzle, stepped forward and stood before the tree. Daisy tensed, ready to defend her puppies if needed. The wolf lingered for a few moments, then backed off and rejoined the others. The pack settled around the clearing, remaining there throughout the night. For the first time in hours, Daisy didn't feel entirely alone. Morning arrived, and Daisy was still tied, but the wolves had remained nearby. One by one, her puppies stirred, and Daisy tried to guide them, her body weak and sore. The scarred wolf approached again, moving with careful deliberation. Daisy braced herself but soon realized he posed no threat. A younger wolf ran off into the woods and returned with a small rabbit, dropping it near Daisy. She sniffed cautiously, then began to eat, sharing pieces with her puppies. The wolves didn't approach but watched silently, protective and patient. By the second day, Daisy was calmer. She had eaten, and her puppies were slowly becoming more active. Days passed. The weather shifted unpredictably, rain soaking the clearing one day, a biting wind cutting through the next, yet the wolves stayed. One even positioned itself closer than the others, acting as a guardian. Daisy stopped struggling against the rope, exhausted but increasingly reassured by their presence. She began to trust them, understanding, in some instinctive way, that these wild animals were helping her survive. Occasionally, a pup would wander toward the wolves, and instead of frightening them, a wolf would nudge it gently back toward Daisy. The forest remained quiet except for their own movements, distant sounds of wildlife, and the occasional cries of the puppies. On the 5th day, a white van rumbled down the same dirt road Ethan had used. Inside were Leah and 2 volunteers from a local animal rescue shelter. Leah had received an anonymous tip with GPS coordinates, warning her that a mother dog and her puppies were in danger. The road was muddy from recent rain, making the journey slow and tense. As they neared the clearing, Leah noticed movement among the trees. Her breath caught when she saw Daisy tied to a tree, thin and worn, surrounded by her lively but tiny puppies, and 4 wolves sitting a short distance away. She froze. The wolves did not move aggressively. They merely observed. Slowly, they stood and walked away, silent and deliberate, as though their task was complete. Daisy watched them go but did not move. Leah approached cautiously, unsure how Daisy would react. The dog remained calm, her trust earned through days of survival. Leah gently loosened the rope, offering water, which Daisy drank greedily. The puppies sniffed and explored the volunteers' boots, curious but wary. They were skinny but alive, a testament to Daisy's resilience and the unexpected guardianship of the wolves. No one could explain the phenomenon, yet it was clear that without those wild protectors, Daisy and her puppies might not have survived. Carefully, Leah and her team gathered the dogs and returned to the van. Back at the shelter, Daisy and her puppies were examined, cleaned, and given temporary names. Daisy stayed close to her litter, protective yet calm, while volunteers marveled at the inexplicable bond that had kept them alive. Over the following weeks, most of the puppies found permanent homes, and Daisy herself eventually went to a loving family. Leah visited occasionally, remembering the forest clearing and the strange protective wolves that had watched over them. She never shared the full story publicly. She knew most people wouldn't believe it, but she kept the memory alive in her heart, a quiet reminder of how unexpected compassion can come from the wildest places. Stories like these are rare but incredible, showing the deep, instinctive bonds that can form between animals, even across species. If you found this story moving, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible tales from the animal kingdom. You never know when the next unbelievable story will appear.